The next thing that we have to go through is distance control. Range control is about understanding the space between you and your opponent. If you can't understand how to control that space, then you won't do a good job at controlling your opponent. You won't be able to set up good offensive and defensive opportunities for yourself. So when you're controlling the range, there's going to be times where you're going to have to control the range at long range here, okay? So long range meaning about an arm's length, our leader hands length apart from each other. At that long range, it's harder for the opponent to hit me. So if he tries to kick, I have space to move out of the way. There's times we're gonna have to fight at mid-range, and there's time we're gonna have to fight at short range in the clinch. So let's work out what to do at this long range first. Now, if I'm at long range, my goal is to control that space. My goal is to maintain that long range and set up opportunities to get into the closer ranges to attack. So, say we're both in our shape, our balance, our rhythm, we're sitting out at a nice range. Darnell steps into my space, boop, and now he's closed my range, and that means that I haven't done a good job at controlling that space, okay? So, the first and most easy thing you can do is use movement to step away. So he steps in, and I step back, okay? When we're using movement, you want to be out of there before they land, they step into your space. So for example, let's go really slow. Darnell takes the slowest step possible. Boop, he plants his foot there, and now he is dangerous, he can attack me. What you want to do if you're going to use movement is you want to move before he plants. So step in, and I move back to that long range, okay? The other thing we can do is move into a close range. So step, and I move in. So I beat him to the step there. I know he's going to take a big step, so maybe a big open hook, for example. A big step, boom, okay? And I can jab in, I can get into that space faster than he can step. What you don't want is to be caught flat-footed doing nothing when they step in. So step in, boom, I'm flat-footed doing nothing, then I get hit. And remember, this is all a matter of milliseconds here. So these are really small movements. So that means that you have to be on and you have to be engaged in your rhythm. He steps forward, and I step back. You have to be really quick with this stuff, okay? The only way to get good at this is by practicing it with a partner. Now, the next thing that we're gonna use is our teep. This is the most versatile long distance tool that you have. You have two of them, okay? One, the front teep is a little bit shorter. The long teep requires, the back teep requires more space because it is longer, okay? So most of the time at long range, we're going to be framing, we're going to be sitting at this space. Darnell takes a step into my space, boom. Now, same as the movement that we're just doing, we want to time it when the foot's in the air. He's taking that step, boom, get back. He takes that step, push. You want to land that teep while he's moving in and he gets hit, okay? If he steps in, and then you take too long to lift your foot up, you're probably going to get punched here, okay? Same as if you do it too early, you'll miss and you'll land here, and then they can attack. So you have to time their movements. This is why rhythm's so important. Rhythm will set your own timing up. You'll do a better job at reading their timing and their movement. He steps in. When you teep, make sure that your teep is strong. You're not pushing yourself out of range, because now you're actually giving him space. You're pushing yourself back, you're not pushing them back. When you teep, it's about having that strong base come in and balance on top of that leg, and that requires practice. Now we've got movement, we've got teeps. The other thing we can do is jab the opponent. Now, again, he steps in and I jab. When you jab, step in, it's really important that you don't get caught in front of the opponent like this. So we don't step in front of the opponent's base, because even if I do hit him, boom, I've essentially given him my back. He can come and sweep, he can kick that leg out. If he punches down the middle, I'm not in a very great position to defend. Okay, so what we want to do whenever we jab, he takes that step, boom, we just step outside, okay? When I'm practicing with a partner, see how I'm not wearing gloves or anything, I'm just rolling my hand and just putting my fist on his chest just to get the timing right. Boom. He steps in, boom. Now it's the same concept. I want to beat his foot. He takes that step. I get there just a millisecond before he puts his foot down. Okay? Step in, pop. Step in, teep. Step in, move back, okay? The next thing we can do is use our cross to control that space. Now, the jab is quick. We hit at the same time as our foot. The cross, we plant, then we extend the punch, which means we need better timing. We need more time to set that punch up, okay? So I've done our steps, then I step, and then I turn, he'll beat me to the punch, or he has the opportunity to beat me to the punch. So if you're gonna use the rear hand, you have to be very quick and very onto it. You have to have good timing. He steps, 1, 2, okay? So, bonk, bonk. You have to learn how to connect fast so you can turn in quick, get back without overreaching on the cross, okay? So he steps in, step punch, come back. We can also use the 1, 2. He steps in, bam, bam, down the middle, okay? So far we've learned movement, how to use our jab, our cross, our 1, 2, our teep. The last thing I'll leave you with is how to use your kicks at long range. Now, he takes a step in. Again, a kick is a long movement, so you have to be fast with it and you have to have a good space for it. If he steps in, my foot is close, and then I start to kick, he's gonna counter with that straight down the middle. You need to have enough space between yourself, step, to be able to land that kick. See how my step is short and fast? I go outside him. He steps in, short, boom, come back. I'm balanced, one more time, step, boom. You swing your arm, making sure that you have that distance between your partner. A lot of people, when they practice this stuff, they step in, they do this. They get too close, they get punched in the face. Do it from this side so that we can see a different angle. He steps in, boom, okay? So you should have that range where you can kind of balance on your partner and push yourself back to a good long range. And finally, the switch kick. He steps in, you want to change your feet before his foot lands, okay? Okay, so we want to be able to fast switch. We don't want to do a big clunky, okay? Because if I do that, he steps in, boom, you get smacked like that. So we want to be quick, step. Okay, so hands up, switch, okay? Going back to kick technique, my arm comes straight across and I go as quick as I can. Really got to feel the toes if you want a good fast switch kick, okay? Try not to be flat feet, makes you move slower. So we've learned how to use those control tools at long range, but understanding long range also means that you've got to understand the mid and the short ranges. So let's go through this again. So we've got the short range, the mid range, the long range. Let's break a table up. At the long range, we're able to use our teeps, our movements. We're able to use our jab, cross, and our kicks effectively. That's at long range. These are good tools to use at your long range. By the way, we can use elbows at long range, we can use knees at long range, it doesn't matter. As long as you have the good timing, you step, you knee, you get back to that good space, okay? So people jump into your long range, you can still use those things, but they're not gonna be as common and effective as these longer tools. So that's long range. At mid-range, so when your opponent steps into mid-range, this is free for all. Everything works. Okay, you both have equal defensive and offensive opportunity in there, but it's the first person to get in there that is going to have the first strike, and that's where the advantage is. So if you do a really good job at long range fighting, to set up the timing to get in there quick and attack, and I'll show you this soon, you'll have a better advantage in the mid-range. But at face value, if you both start in mid-range and then you go for it, you both have equal opportunity in there. And then there's the short range. And this is where you're going to engage in things like the clinch. You're going to knee more. You're going to elbow more. Sorry, it's really bad handwriting there. Clinching, kneeing, elbowing, short punches like hooks and uppercuts and that sort of thing. And I'll take you through that now. Then there's the close range. So we're at long range, there's mid-range here, we move into a close range, okay? Now close range, most of the time in Thai boxing, you're not going to be sitting here dirty boxing, because what they can do is just grab your head. Okay, and when they grab your head in a position like this, there's an open knee to the face or the body. Okay, so we don't want to be in close range, trying to dirty box and move around, that sort of thing. When you're in close range, the goal usually is to lock on and clinch and find a superior position in the clinch. In the clinch, okay, so when we lock on, we have opportunities to elbow, we have opportunities to knee, we have opportunities to throw to the floor. They're the three main attacks you're going to deal with in the clinch. When the opponent lets go completely, so they let go of their grip, this gives you free access to anything you want in there because they haven't done a good job of controlling you. So you're both controlling each other in that small space. There'll be times where there's space apart, where you can throw long range short tools like long elbows, that sort of thing, or long knees. There'll be times where you're close, where you can't throw the long thing, so you've got to throw short slap knees, for example, and figure out that, okay? But what's similar to the short range and the long range is that when we're in close, we can buy ourselves time to find different opportunities. Same with when we're long. We can sit and we can buy ourselves time to find opportunities. So we'll call this the green zone. We come into the mid-range, to the red zone, and then we move into the short range for another green zone. So green, red, green. And the reason I call this red is because when we're in mid-range, we have equal opportunity at everything. So he can throw, I can throw across and he can throw across the same. He's gonna have the same chance at landing shots in here. Okay, now, guys who sit in the mid-range are usually brawlers. They just wanna punch and land shots and take shots, but they're usually not very smart fighters. A smart fighter sits in a green zone, controls that green zone, steps in first, gets back to that green zone. So they step into that red to attack, they get back to that green zone. They step into that red to attack, then they get to a closer green zone. They start working, they push back to mid, they push back to long, that sort of thing. So they're understanding the long range, the mid range, the short range. They're always using all three ranges. They're not just sitting at long. They're not just sitting at close and clinching. They're using the whole space. So your job as you're developing your style is to learn the ranges, the long, the mid, the short range. Understand how your composure changes at long range, at mid range, at short range. Develop that and put things together. I always recommend, if you're beginning, learning these long range tools first, because you get a better gauge of how to control that space and how to set up opportunity for the mid range. As you get better, you'll get more into clinch, you'll get more into short range fighting, and you'll be able to use all three ranges a lot more effectively. Okay, so one way you can learn and practice long range is using a bag. Okay, really simple. Push the bag swings. The bag's in close range, mid-range, long range, mid-range, close range, mid-range, long range. So the bag goes through those three ranges. Your job is to control that bag and never let it get close to you. So again, I can use things like in my movement, I can use things like my push kick, I can use things like my jab, but I've got to beat the bag to that step that we're just talking about. So you push the bag away, okay, and now I'm going to practice controlling the space. Comes in, I can time my kick, frame. See how I'm always getting back to a nice composure, I'm always sitting in my rhythm. Okay, so now I'm just controlling that space. I'm jabbing, I'm framing, that sort of thing. Then I can think about a combination that I want to practice. So maybe let's go real simple. 1, 2, 3 kick, jab, cross, hook, kick. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's call low kick. Okay. So if that's the combination I want to work on, I don't want to just throw 1, 2, 3 low and get back and expect to learn how to fight this way. Control the bag first and choose your timing as you're controlling the bag. So I teep, jab, control. I'm looking for that timing to throw the combo. Drop down, control straight away. Okay, so you're in a fight, you don't just get to kick, sit back, keep your hands up. Okay, we have to actually control the bag. Bap, 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 bap. It's coming back to attack us, so now we're going to control again. See, I'm using movement, I'm using framing, I'm using everything I can to get that timing for a good jab, cross, hook, kick. So This is one of my favorite drills to teach, so please use it as much as you can.